This video will work through problem 6.3 from Gapenski's Healthcare Finance, 6th edition. Okay, in problem 6.3, we are asked to look at, let's see, a St. Benedict's Hospital, and there's a chart or a table just above 6.3 that I have basically replicated here. And so what we have, kind of orienting you to the table, we have departments, a list of departments, and we start with support departments, which are going to be our cost centers, so general admin, facilities, financial services. And then we have our profit centers, which are going to be patient service departments. So we have routine care, intensive care, diagnostics, and other. And then going across the top, we have the revenues generated by department. And notice that the cost centers, consistent with their definition, generate only costs and no revenues. And so we have no revenue for the support departments, and then we have the revenues from the profit centers down below. And then we have a column for square footage, so the amount of square feet each of the departments represents. I've abbreviated housekeeping with HK, so this is the number of hours that the parent organization spends cleaning the respective areas. Total salaries for each of the centers, and then the direct costs, which would include salary costs and then any other direct costs for the cost centers. We note we don't have the direct costs for the profit centers. So in 6.3, we are asked, what are the appropriate allocation rates for the cost centers? So we're going to be using direct allocation, the direct method. So we're going to be allocating general administration to each of the profit centers, facilities to each of the profit centers, financial services to each of the profit centers. And we are going to ignore the possible relationship between the cost centers themselves. So when we go to calculate the allocation rates, the first thing we need to do, so we're going to do our allocation process. The first thing we need to do is establish our cost pools. So we're going to, and what is the cost pool? Well, it's going to be all of the direct costs associated with each of our cost centers. So each of the cost centers is going to have a cost pool. So since we're doing the direct method and directly allocating, the cost pool is just going to be equal to the direct cost for each of these. And then we can copy over the sum. And so the cost pool is equal to the direct costs when we're doing direct method. That'll be a little bit different when we get to step down in 6.5. Okay, so we always have 4 steps for cost allocation. Step 1, identify the cost pool. Step 2, identify the cost driver. Step 3, identify the allocation rate. Okay, so we've identified the cost pools. Now we need the cost drivers. And we are told that the cost driver for general administration and financial services is patient services revenue. Okay, so cost driver for general administration is going to be equal to the total of patient services revenue. And I'm using all patient service revenue because the total of all of the revenues from all of the profit center departments, all of the supported departments, because this cost pool goes across all of the supported departments. Next, I'm going to look at, and then financial services uses the same as general administration. So once again, I'm going to take the $50 million in revenues for the entire organization. And then for facilities, the cost driver is space utilization. So I'm going to go down here to get the total of the square footage for the profit centers. Notice the total square footage for the organization is 645,000, but I am only using the square footage from the patient services areas or the profit centers, and I am ignoring the square footage from the support departments. And that's because I'm going to ignore the relationship between facilities and the support departments, and I'm only going to focus, using the direct method, on allocating the facilities cost to the supported departments. And so in that case, using this method, because I am only focused on allocating directly to the supported departments, I am only going to pay attention to their square footage, and their square footage is going to be my cost driver. I'm going to ignore the 45,000 square feet that belongs to the other support departments, including facilities itself. Okay. So I have my cost pool, step one. I have my cost drivers, step two. And now I can calculate my allocation rates. So my allocation rate is simply the cost pool divided by the cost driver. So in the case of general administration, my allocation rate is 4 cents of general administration cost for every dollar of patient revenue. And then again, I can take the cost pool divided by the cost driver. So the facilities cost pool is 5 million. The facilities cost driver is 600,000 square feet. And I get a allocation rate of $8.33 per square foot. And then finally, I have my financial services cost pool is 3 million divided by the cost driver of 50 million. And I get 6 cents in financial services expense for every dollar of revenue generated. All right, let me just clean this up just a little bit. All right, there we go. And now everything is in hundredths. Okay, so now I have my allocation rate. So that is part A. And then part B says use an allocation table similar to Exhibit 6.7. So that's down here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to allocate my general administration, facilities, and financial services for routine care, and then I'm going to do the same for I'm going to have a column for each of the supported departments. So how much general administration expense goes to the routine care department? Well, it's going to be 4 cents for every dollar of revenue that routine care generates. So I'm taking the 4 cents, K4, times the 30 million, which is in cell D9, and 1.2 million of the general administration cost is going to go to routine care. Then we go for intensive care, gets the same 4 cents per dollar times the number of dollars that they generate, 4 million, and we get 160,000 going to intensive care. And then for diagnostics, it's 4 cents per dollar times the number of dollars that they generate, 6 million. And then finally, the other is 4 cents per dollar times the 10 million that the other generates. And that's 400,000. And notice the sum of the row adds up to 2 million, which matches the cost pool. So that's a good check. Using direct method, I should be able to add up the amounts allocated to each of the subordinate organizations, and it should add back up to the cost pool. Now I'm going to do the facilities allocation. So facilities is $8.33 per square foot times routine care has 400,000 square feet. So that's 3.3 million. $8.33 times the square footage for intensive care is 40,000 square feet. So they get 333,000. Diagnostics, $8.33 times the diagnostic square feet of 60,000. And then finally, $8.33 per square foot times the 100,000 square feet for other. And we get the amount of facilities allocated to each of the profit centers. And notice when we add up the row, it adds back up to 5 million, which is the cost pool for facilities. Now for financial services, it's again, same thing, 6 cents per dollar of revenue times the number of dollars of revenue, it's 30 million, it's 1.8, 6 cents per dollar of revenue times dollars of revenue for intensive care, that's 240,000, 6 cents per dollar of revenue times $6 million in revenue gives us 360,000. And then finally, 6 cents per dollar times the $10 million in revenues gives us 600,000. We add up the row, it adds up to 3 million, which matches the cost pool for financial services. Okay, so that is part B. So that finishes 6.3.